Imagine a show where a healer goes back in time to get revenge on the people who molested him. That describes the story of Redo of Healer. Episode 1. Keyaru wakes up from a traumatic dream to a mysterious voice telling him to get stronger. He follows the voice and soon reaches a river from which a star spirit emerges and grants him the Sight of Spirits, which he requested. With this ability, he gained memories of his first life, which he was the healer of an elite hero party. He recalled how he was harassed by his former teammates until he eventually abandoned them and defeated the Demon Lord with his versatile healing abilities. He uses the Philosopher's Stone, which he gained to redo the world, sitting at 4 years in the past. Keyaru, now with the all-seeing, halcyon eyes, swore to take everything from Princess Flare, who led the party of molesters. As planned, his healing powers awakened on his birthday, and he ate a bunch of narcotic plants and mushrooms to gain resistance from them as Flare drugged him heavily in his former life. Princess Flare of the Keyaru Kingdom shows up at Keyaru's village and recruits him. She takes him to her father, and he gets amazed by the king's power. He was granted the title of Hero of Recovery, and pretty much enjoyed all the erotic pleasures that came with that title. He later healed the sword saint Keyaru, which took a huge toll on his body. But the Princess Flare showed the opposite of appreciation to this, and that only motivated our hero more on his revenge quest. Episode 2. Keyaru cried and refused to heal again, due to the pain when called upon by the princess to heal some people, but she motivated him with kind words which he already knew was false. Soon after, he was tortured by a certain knight and later given drugs. The drugs became a regular thing as his nighty sexual partners, which included men, slept with him while drugging him. Flare as well drugged him while slugging him with insults and literal kicks to the balls. For 6 months, he was manipulated using drugs into forcefully using his ability. Keyaru finally set his plan in motion. After running away from the prison, he posed as a knight and soon had the princess cornered, and after breaking her fingers one by one, he proceeded to harass her sexually. He made her beg for his rod and then assaulted her. He then erased her memories and changed her face with his power. He set it up to look like the princess died by the hands of the guard, Renard. His brainwashing transformed the former princess into Freya, a girl insanely in love with him, and he assumed a new name, Keyaru. Episode 3. Keyaru and Freya traveled out of Keyaru's royal capital, and the healer thought about how he wished to avoid Princess Flare's sister, Norn. Keyaru remembered how Flare used to molest him physically and sexually while drugging him, and how the other members, Blade and Bullet, abused him daily in similarly filthy ways. He decided to have revenge on Blade and Bullet as well. After discovering the polluted water supply of a free city, he develops an antidote to the disease and sells it to a merchant within the city. Keyaru uses the money he gained to buy a slave, which acted similarly to a wild animal. He swears to help her get her revenge. Episode 4. Keyaru heals his new slave, and from her memories, sees how her family was murdered and her clan captured. She wakes up and introduces herself as Setsuna, a proud Ice Wolf clan warrior. She tries to attack him, but he overpowers her easily, and explained how much stronger she could get if he helped her out. After a bit of motivation, Setsuna blows him and drinks his magic seed and instantly levels up. Then they do the deed, all of course to make her stronger. Later on, Keyaru, Setsuna, and Flare go to save the Ice Wolf slaves from their captors. Keyaru intercepts a war between humans and the Ice Wolves, as the hero of the sword. He easily shreds the villainous humans, and Flare joins the assault with her explosive magic. Setsuna jumps in and vengefully rips all humans in her path apart while Keyaru watches proudly. Keyaru then neutralizes the poison in the water supply of the city at Setsuna's request, and supplies a bit of his own special water inside her moments later. He claims his revenge has only begun. Episode 5. Kuriha hears a man who used her sword techniques. Setsuna has a bit of erotic fun with both his girls at the riverside, and they continue their journey. They go back into the free city for a meeting between Keyaru and the merchant, and after the merchant, Quinta, attempts to intimidate him with his guards, Keyaru pulls up an Uno reverse card and gets 500 gold pieces for a worthless antidote. On his way back, he gets attacked by Keyaru, who sought to save his girls from being used by him. After an intense battle, Keyaru defeats her with his heal ability. When Keyaru woke up, Keyaru revealed how vile the Keyaru kingdom she protected was, as well as his real identity. He'd made Freya play as her original self to convince Keyaru that Keyaru was a hero. She later agreed to help him, and, of course, by her aphrodisiac-influenced request, Keyaru helps himself to her body. Meanwhile, Renard, now wearing Keyaru's face, swore to get revenge on our Chad hero. Episode 6. The next episode began with Keyaru enjoying a meal with his 3 girls when a bunch of soldiers led by Renard appeared him out while having his villagers captive. Keyaru soon disguised himself as the former Ice Wolf captor and gets information from a soldier that the woman who raised him, Anna, had been sexually assaulted by Renard. He then confronts Renard later on and took him and his guards out. He transformed Renard into a woman and left a bunch of crazy muscular men feast on his female body. He soon found Anna and tried to heal her repeatedly, but to no avail. He cried for Anna's death while making love intensely with Setsuna and Freya, and decided to make the country pay. Kuriha agrees to help Keyaru free his villagers from an upcoming execution at the Colosseum. She informs Keyaru that Princess Norn was back, and he and Freya got frightened. He remembered how Norn saw him through their past life, and how she made him pleasure her as well. As his villagers were about to get executed, Keyaru made a shocking appearance. Anyways, if you've enjoyed the video so far, hit that like and subscribe button. Episode 7. Keyaru leaped forward and was accused of being possessed by the devil and murdering their princess. The soldiers on site attacked him at once, but he destroyed them with his overwhelming powers. They killed some of his villagers as he approached, but he continued his bloody massacre as he advanced and soon realized the villagers were already poisoned. As part of his plan, Freya appeared as Princess Flare in a large hologram and revealed the crimes of the Girol kingdom to the crowd. They didn't believe, but she cleared all doubts with a musical number and a show of magic. She appeared to the people to fight back against Girol's corruption, and they took up arms against those who captured the villagers. He leaves a boy from his village he saved in Quince's hands. Kuriha informs Keyaru of an expedition to Branica led by Norn, and he now heads over to that city to meet the Demon Lord. Episode 8. At daybreak, they visited a pub in Branica, where demonic beings and humans coexist. At his breakfast table, Keyaru gets shocked when the Demon Lord sits next to him. Well, a younger and dark-haired version which was a candidate for the demonic throne, with immeasurable magic power. An ogre at the pub told Keyaru about how the Black Wing tribe was hunted by order of the Demon Lord. The girl warns Keyaru not to get involved with her as she left, and he warns her about an upcoming attack. The attack comes in a form of a raging flame, and she shields herself with her magic. Freya and Setsuna do the same. They paralyzed her using a poisoned dart, and by her request, Keyaru saves her by murdering the attackers and escaping. He later told her that the red-eyed demon lord with black wings and silver hair he met in the future was her, and that he was Keyaru, the hero of recovery. He reveals her name as Eve Race, as well as her magic types, and proposes to protect her until she becomes Demon Lord. He reveals that he wants the heart of the Demon Lord as compensation, and she agrees to think about it. Eve wakes up and sees Eve piping down his girls, and he teased her sexually. Episode 9. Eve cries mother as Keyaru intimidates her with his raging eggplant. Later on, during breakfast with the girls, Keyaru proposes that Eve Reese joins them and gain protection until she becomes Demon Lord, and that she ends the war between humans and demons. She agrees and joins them. She later reveals she has a god called the Divine Bird of Fatal Disease, Caladrius, and Keyaru convinces her to go get it. Keyaru changes face, and when he head into town, he got attacked by one of the bounty hunters from earlier. He defeats the wild boar, and later on, Eve got turned on while watching Keyaru get naughty with his babes. Keyaru and Setsuna head out that night and brutalized, and the hunters targeting Eve. The next day, buys a magic staff for Freya. He enhanced it, as well as the other staffs at the store, and the dealer gives him a knife as a gift. Later on, Princess Norn and her army arrive at Branica, and Keyaru spots Blade among her fleet. Episode 10. Keyaru swears to take revenge on Blade and almost gets spotted by Hawkeye, one of the 3 braves in Gioral's army. Flare enjoyed the spoils of the city, and of course by spoils, I mean girls that she drugged and sexually abused. Keyaru sells some potions he made to Carman, the merchant from earlier. That night, Eve clenched her privates while hearing Keyaru and the girls make love. Keyaru transforms himself into a girl and heads into town to trick Blade. He takes out a couple of sexual predators in the alley and meets Blade inside a bar. After a bit of flirting, Blade drugs him, or her rather, and tries taking her away like the rest of her victims. During an attack on one of the prey's fathers, Keyaru woke up to save himself and from a fall, and eventually got in a fight with Blade. She overpowers him, and takes his female body away into bondage at her room. Blade began her harassment, but when she dunks her hand down there, she feels a bulging mass. She was broken by this, and eventually the predator became the prey, as Keyaru began his revenge. Episode 11. Keyaru paralyzed her legs and got a couple of ravaging men to have their way with her while he ate and watched. Talk about the perfect binge. After raping her, the men are hurt, and Keyaru left in complete fulfillment and now looked forward to getting revenge on Bullet. He gets approached by Hawkeye, Trist, while meeting with Carmen, but fortunately they don't get into a fight. Keyaru thought about how Trist was a powerful obstacle he needed to overcome in order to get to Norn. He later attained a special powerful gauntlet called Georgius and ravaged his girls' bodies that night in celebration. Later on, Norn began a massacre of humans and demons within Branica, as her own twisted form of justice. Keyaru rushes to save Carmen, but didn't make it in time. He now uses his new weapon and began ripping Norn's soldiers apart in Carmen's name. Norn gets word of this and sends him backup. Meanwhile, Freya manifests as a hologram version of Flare once again. Episode 12. Freya gives a speech to motivate the soldiers to stop the chaos, but Hawkeye tells Norn that person is not Flare. She discovers Keyaru is behind this, and he soon approached her and Hawkeye. Keyaru and Hawkeye fought intensely for a while, but Keyaru obliterates him and captures Norn. He makes Flare pleasure her sister while dressed as a dog until she climaxes and then bangs them both. He uses Heal to erase Norn's memories and transforms her into his long-lost little sister. And later on, he devours her alongside Setsuna, Curiat and Flare in bed all at once while Eve watched and masturbated. With the drive to enact revenge on Bullet, Keyaru now makes his way to subdue Caladrius alongside his 5 girls. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button, and perhaps you could gain access to your own powerful magic and dream harem.